Hey, excuse me. Excuse me. I actually literally don't have time to talk to anybody right now because I have to meet clients, but you looked very athletic and intriguing. Fair enough, but as a former athlete myself,
yeah,
I respect this look.
Hot yoga.
Really?
Yeah,
fair enough.
thanks.
I thought, fair enough. Actually, you don't, I mean, you have a good body, but you don't look yoga necessarily. You look more like runner, athlete, like some kind of...
I go to yoga once every other month.
Once every other month. Well, I'm glad I caught you on that day. Oh man.
Thank
So
you.
you're like, damn, I met a cute boy and I happened to meet him when I was like the most sweaty possible. Fair enough. Well, unfortunately, like, I wasn't kidding when I said I don't have very long to talk to you, but I am intrigued. All right, that's fine.
But I appreciate
What is your name?
Compliment. Hi.
What do you do with yourself aside from that? Really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's very, very cool. Do you go out and are you social?
Yeah.
Okay. I will invite you. Come out, maybe I go out like, I have probably an unhealthy amount of like socializing in my lifestyle, but you seem to have a good sense of humor about you. So
Well,
if
yeah.
you're cool and your friends are equally cool, you guys are totally welcome to come join anytime you'd like.
Okay.
Does that sound fair?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, cool. I'll text you, let you know when we have something. Does that work? Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. What is... you actually like really do have a good sense of humor, by the way. All right. Where's that been? Hey, what's up? It's Todd, and today I want to tell you kind of a sad story. And that is that as I go from place to place, deal with tons of students, I have so many people tell me that pickup is really hard to learn. And they tell me that they've been banging their head against the wall and trying things for years and they're not making progress. And that is very frustrating to me and very saddening to me because that should never, ever be the case. So I started digging into why exactly is it that people have so much trouble with learning pickup. I talked to some of these people, and I think I figured it out. Okay, here's the deal. Pickup is not that hard to learn. Yes, it takes time, and yes, it's a complex subject. But when people say it's hard to learn, what they're speaking of specifically is that they're going out and they're getting failure after failure after failure, okay? And that's not necessary, okay? Even if you're a total beginner, you should be practicing in a way where you're not getting failure after failure. You should be practicing in a way where you're getting success. Now, that may sound weird, right? If you're a beginner, if you're new to this, how are you going to get success? Well, that's the key. That's what you should be asking yourself is, how am I going to get success? In every session where you go out, there should be a chance of success. So if you're totally new to game and you go out and you say, my goal is to get laid tonight, you're going to fail about 100%. Okay? And you go out the next night, my goal is to get laid tonight, you're going to fail about 100%. Now, what's wrong with that? One, it's very demoralizing, right? If you go out and fail and go out and fail and go out and fail, it's very frustrating. You're not going to want to stick with pickup. But maybe even worse, if you're failing 100%, you have no gauge of whether you're doing things better, right? If you're a beginner and you go out and you're like, I want to get laid, and you try one technique and you didn't get laid, you try another technique and you didn't get laid, how do you know which technique was better, okay? So what I'm really getting at here is you need to learn, because you're going to fail in pickup. You're going to fail, but you need to learn to fail the right way. And the first part of failing the right way, failing in a way that will help you learn and grow, is choosing your failure, meaning choosing your criteria for success. Okay, so if you're totally new to game and you set your benchmark as, I want to get laid tonight, that's probably not one you're going to hit. But if you set your benchmark as, you know what, I'm having trouble staying in set for 30 seconds, so I'm just going to try and stay in set for 30 seconds tonight. Now, because you're sometimes going to succeed at that, now the times that you succeed, you can be like, oh, I did something well. The times that you fail, you can be, I did something less well. And A, you're getting a feeling of success. You actually are getting encouragement, and you see that you're making progress, you're encouraged to stay with it. But two, you can actually evaluate the things you're doing. There's actually a clear metric to evaluate against. And that's so critical because you cannot learn without feedback, okay? So the first step in learning is setting up a barometer that's neither too easy nor too hard, all right? If you set up a barometer where every single time you're going to succeed, you can't learn from that because it's too easy. Like if you are trying to learn to be a concert level pianist and you just play Twinkle Twinkle Little Star all day, you're never going to learn from that because you're not challenging yourself, you're not pushing yourself. On the other hand, if you barely know the notes and you try and play like some crazy concerto that takes like all these crazy like things and you're trying to like push the pedals, you're not going to be able to figure that out either, and you're just going to get failure and frustration, okay? So you have to pick a goal that is at the right stage for your particular level of progress, all right? And you need to consider that a victory. And if you do that, you're going to have victories. So me, when I was learning, I was never frustrated. I mean, I was sometimes frustrated because like, I was so close I didn't get it, whatever. But I was never frustrated in the sense that I thought I would never get it. I was never frustrated in the sense that like, I'll never figure this game thing out, because I chose goals that were like bite-sized goals and were the right goals for me. And so I was always either making progress or learning, right? I never, or virtually never, would go out for a session and not improve or make progress in some way. Either I'd get a new experience, new feedback that I could take and learn and grow from, or I would have tried something and found it didn't work, which is also totally fine, all right? So choosing those right sort of bite-sized segments is very, very, very critical, all right? And if you do that, you don't need to be failing wrong, because every failure actually is a learning experience, and every failure gets you closer to success, all right? Actually, if you look at it, my dream night in pickup is the night where I go out and do fail. Because if I fail doing my best, then I'm going to learn new things that are going to help me grow. And maybe I didn't sleep with a girl that night, but what I learned there is going to help me sleep with dozens or hundreds of girls, or sleep with a higher quality of girl later on. So rather than a night where I go out and pull, I mean, I'll take it. I like sex. You know, that's always a nice night. But actually, that's not my favorite night. My favorite night is the night where I get very frustrated, come home, and I'm like, there's something to learn here. There's something to grow here because something violated my expectation, or because I did something that hasn't been working, it hasn't, or because I tried something new and I got an interesting result. That's the actual goal. Okay, the actual goal is to grow. Right? The actual goal for every night out is to grow. So you need to set yourself a metric where you actually can grow. So that step of setting your goals at the right level is the first and maybe the most important step in making sure that you actually grow and learn from your failures and pick up, and you actually get somewhere instead of banging your head against the wall for years and getting nowhere, because that's the saddest thing possible. All right, but there are two more steps I want to share with you to make your practice time and the learning experience faster, more efficient, and more pleasant. The first is what goals you're setting. So not just the level of goals, but the structure of the goals you're setting. Okay, so what you want to do here is, instead of setting a goal of, I want to get this many numbers tonight, be like, I want to ask for this many numbers tonight. Or instead of saying, I want to pull a girl, be like, I want to go through this process of steps that I know is the right process to pull a girl. And then from there, if you get the pull, great. If you don't get the pull, great. But be proud and happy of the fact that you did the proper process, okay? Evaluate yourself, not on your results, but on what you actually put into it. Because if you're evaluating yourself on the outcome, that's very, very random. You could actually do a shitty job in field and you run into that girl who just happens to be down, you pull and you think you had a good night. You could do an amazing job in field and you just got unlucky with logistics, you think you had a shitty night. But if you're evaluating yourself on what you put in, then you're going to get a clear evaluation and a clear ability to grow, okay? So every goal that you set for yourself when you go out, when you set yourself a mission or an objective for the night, it should be something that you are in control of the success or failure of, all right? So every night can be a success. Nobody in the world can keep you from succeeding every single night. And also by being process-oriented, you're going to get yourself into an experiential frame, you're going to get yourself out of your head, you're going to get yourself not being needy and outcome-dependent for the girl. So it's going to have all these extra ancillary benefits as well as helping you learn. Okay, and then the final step, and this is absolutely critical for increasing the speed of your progress at least, is you need to be highly analytical and you need to be highly honest with yourself. Okay, now you do not want to be analytical in field. When you go out in field, you go out with your mission, you just fucking execute it. Get analytical beforehand and get analytical afterwards. But every single night you should be asking yourself, what did I do well? What did I do poorly? What are my sticking points? What should I be learning? And most importantly, what is the adjustment I should be making next? Because if you aren't going through that process, you could be repeating the same things over and over again. And if you're repeating the same things over and over, you're just going to get the same things over and over. You won't learn and grow. What you will do is you'll ingrain whatever current bad habits you have. Okay? So those are the 3 steps to failing successfully in pickup. Because let's be clear, you're going to fail. But is that a failure that's going to frustrate you and make you leave pickup? Is that a failure that's going to be a continuous failure for years on end? Or is it a failure that's an immediate growth experience where you get an epiphany and you're actually happy you had the failure and it catapults you forward? If you want the right kind of failure, what you need to do is this. 1, set the right level of goal. A goal where you're sometimes going to succeed and sometimes going to fail. So it's the appropriate level of challenge. 2, set goals and objectives where you are in control of your success and failure rather than random external events. And 3, outside of the field, not in the field, but outside of the field, you need to be analytical and be honest with yourself. Put your ego aside and ask how you're actually doing and take the next step. Don't worry about where you're at on the path, just worry that you're traveling the path. If you're traveling the right path and you have the right process, you're gonna get where you need to go eventually.